So thank you for those of you that already listened to me babble for about, an hour and a half, 2 hours this morning. I did a little bit different presentation. So if you already saw some of this, please, don't spoil it for others. No, I'm kidding. It's an honor to be here today. Had a great... You guys are seeing the full range of American politics. I never thought I'd be standing on the same stage as some of my colleagues from the Marco Rubio campaign and the Ted Cruz campaign. But yet, here we are. So, I'm going to put together some best practices. I'm going to speak fairly quickly. I apologize, interpreters. And please make my bad jokes a little bit funnier in German. But I want to leave a little bit more time for Q&A. Because I imagine there's a few questions around the presidential campaign still. So a couple of quick lessons and then some questions. So here we go, real quick. So 4 or 5 lessons that we should take from not just the Bernie Sanders campaign, but from the Barack Obama campaign and sort of the U.S.-style elections. And to correct the gentleman that just was before me, Nation Builder didn't even exist during the Obama campaign or was just in its infancy. That's how I know we didn't use Nation Builder for this. Now, what we did do was we built bright blue, pretty backgrounds. No, that is not what won the campaign. A bright blue background and Gotham font is not what won the campaign for Barack Obama. As a consultancy, everybody says, hey, Scott, can you make my website bright blue like Barack Obama? It doesn't matter the color. Where this all started, if I'm going to pay homage to the internet in the U.S. politics, it started with Howard Dean's campaign back in 2004. The reality, though, was that we needed to learn things. We needed to evolve the internet. This campaign was all about moving things from your website to other places. There was an offline tool called meetup.com. Everybody would have like dog lovers meetups and people that were into playing poker with their left hands had meetups. All sorts of crazy little meetups that were off the campaign. The right side of the campaign was a blog roll. Do we remember blog rolls? It's like, again, puppy lovers who support Howard Dean go to their website, right? It wasn't about coming into the website and being focused and organizing. All of the data went to offline tools. The problem with that is that you weren't on the same message. Obama's campaign was, how do we bring more people in? We actually built our own social network called My Barack Obama, and MyBo for short was its own social network. What it really was an organizing platform inside BarackObama.com. Now, this is not the beautiful website that you all remember, right? We actually had to learn and organize and figure out what was working on the internet and then take some air out of our own sail and actually rebuild, revamp, revitalize our website to what was working. This is a mess, right? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to focus on. There's hundreds of types of fonts, right? I can make fun of it now, but back then, this was actually considered a pretty sophisticated battleship. We moved forward right before the Iowa caucus and relaunch our entire website in a focused manner. Now, the joke of this is that my section of the website is the grayed out section in the bottom because I was still in charge of the social media side, right? So all of my stuff was moving off the website. So nobody wanted your eyes to go to my section. I say that the designers got lazy by the time they got to the bottom corner. Today's modern websites are all about sign up. If you're coming to the website, there's 5 or 10 things that you can do here. Now we move to one thing. I want you to come to the website, sign up, or get off my website. It is that simple. Now, I worked for Bernie Sanders, one of the most policy wonkish types of individuals in the U.S. Right? A guy who loves talking about thousands of pages of legislation. And instead, we put sign up or leave the website on the front page. There is a reason that every politician in the U.S. is doing this style of a campaign. Doesn't matter whether you go to Hillary Trump's website today, Hillary Clinton's website today, or Donald Trump's website. I'm tired. I've had jet lag. If you go to either Hillary's website today, I was trying to be bipartisan. Look what happens. If you go to Hillary's campaign website today or Donald Trump's website today, you will see the same style. What we did, though, is we revolutionized it even further by going, it's not even about our campaign or our candidate. We wanted you to see yourself inside of our website. So we can keep evolving, but the tools and the strategies and the technology, and I have to disagree with the gentleman before me, email does matter. Even if your email open rate is at about 15%, email was the main driver of the Barack Obama campaign for fundraising. Email was the main driver for Bernie Sanders' campaign for fundraising. Email is king at fundraising and telling a long story over the narrative. You cannot tell a narrative with a tweet. Nobody is going backwards on Twitter. Maybe your ex-girlfriend, but literally no one is going backwards on Twitter to stalk you to figure out, did you say 4 or 5 different tweets? Unless you're a reporter or a serious insider, right? Average voters are not looking backwards. Average voters are following your email narrative, and we raised over $220 million online without an offline fundraising effort. Again, majority of that was coming through an email narrative. So the sign-up becomes critical to being able to tell that story over the long haul. Next lesson, keep evolving. So this election cycle, we learned some different things. I'm going to share some of those secrets with you. And some of the big secrets with you is online advertising has evolved in super fashion, so much so that right now we actually ran a campaign without an offline fundraising team because online advertising to list building, acquisition, and direct donations was able to be a main driver. There's not anyone in the U.S. society that's worried about putting their credit card through the internet. Purchasing power has advanced. This is not a young voter tool. Like, Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2008 said, Facebook, that's a nice young voter tool. Today, that was a main driver for commerce worldwide. Are there journalists in the room? There's some journalists here? Yes, no? Well, I apologize to journalists, but one of the new forms of advertising is called sponsored content. Putting your ad to look like it actually fits into the newspaper. So this is Talking Points Memo. And Bernie could literally put an ad in. It does say sponsored message. Don't blame me, journalists. This is what is working in the U.S. right now. It's working worldwide. And that sponsored content is literally us placing our opinion piece inside the newspaper. And there's also a little ad next to it. Show your support. Sign up. Again, this was an acquisition ad done through an op-ed, a paid op-ed that says sponsored content. But native advertising right now is something that is new and evolving. And we have two choices. We can experiment with it and see what the returns are, or we could disavow it and say, well, we don't really like sponsored content. That seems silly. We are in a battle in the U.S., whether we were going to have a big enough list and a big enough battleship to take on one of the biggest brand names in Democratic Party politics, we were going to use the tools that were available to us. Another example is being able to take out full-page advertising. I know for those of you that like going to newspapers and hate full-page ads, that, oh my God, this is gaudy and it's horrible, blah, blah, blah. Right? It works. At the end of the day, everybody in the world was going to the Des Moines Register in Des Moines, Iowa, to figure out what was going to happen the day of the presidential primary caucus in Iowa. We bought this ad 2 years before the caucus. We actually thought, look, we don't even have a candidate. We have no idea if Bernie Sanders is going to run or not. Bernie Sanders has no idea if he's going to run or not. We've already locked up the advertising, right? Because if you think about it, certain critical placement, buying it early works. So my point to you in this is buy early to save money, and it would work. Now, if Bernie didn't run, is that a bad dollar play for me? No. There's somebody that's going to want that ad. One of my clients, maybe a women's rights organization, an environmental organization, a labor rights organization, a human rights organization, another progressive left or Democratic Party candidate, right? Somebody is going to buy that. I am not going to lose money on buying the Des Moines Register for caucus day. So if you're thinking about placements on the Brexit stuff, right? They knew when the vote was, sort of by the end of it. At some point, saving money, and in the grand scheme of things, when you only have 3 variables, time, people, and money, thinking about this and going, how much money could we save by buying our GeoTV universe ahead of time? Retargeting. Now, I know we're in Germany, and retargeting is a little bit harder than it is in the U.S. Cookie-based marketing, meaning if you go to a website, you close your computer, Those of you that buy on Amazon, you go to Amazon, you close your computer, you open it up again, you go back to Amazon. Shockingly, that article that you just looked at is still saved in your browser. Now, I don't know. It's not that creepy. I don't know anything about you. But your computer knows that you went to Amazon and you looked at that item. Well, now it's gotten more and more evolved. You open up your computer, you go to Facebook, and shockingly, you see the same ad for that thing that you were looking for on Amazon. Because these networks are being more and more connected. So in 2007, 2008, these networks were in their infancy. Now I believe that they're evolving even faster. So those of you that went to Bernie Sanders' store, now again, internationally we didn't allow contributions, but in the U.S., those of you that went to Bernie Sanders' store and you wanted the t-shirt, doesn't mean that because you didn't buy it, you no longer love Bernie Sanders. So we have to think about the user and the user experience. Why did they not buy the t-shirt? I don't know. They got a call from their kid. Their boss looked at what they were doing. They got busy with doing something else, right? There is 100 reasons why you did not complete that purchase. One of those reasons may be that you did not like Bernie Sanders. Doubtful if you are browsing your computer and already knee-deep into the website to get to the t-shirt page means you already passed the sign-up, you already passed some of the issue stuff, and you found yourself landed on the Bernie Sanders t-shirt, you may want to actually buy it. So we can chase you around the internet until you either purchase it and say, you know you really want to buy that ad. You know that coffee mug looks good. I've got a kid that they just had a baby and maybe I'll buy the bib. Right? There is a billion ways that we can actually work with you to get you there. It's retargeting. Corporate America has been doing this for several years. Political America needed to catch up. This, to me, is the most revolutionary thing that we did on the campaign. Direct impulse buying through Facebook. This is a high bar of an acquisition ad that's not just asking you to sign up and join the campaign. This is asking you to directly donate. From Facebook, directly donate. Do not pass go. Just go straight, grab your credit card, and donate. Right? That's not dating. That's getting married. Right? That is a very, very high bar ask of, hey, we don't know you. Bernie Sanders just did well in a key battleground state, and he needs more money quickly. The bird that came down and landed on the podium. By the way, I did not do the bird. I wish I could take credit. The bird just landed on the podium. But here's what we did. We had a design team ready to go in rapid response. We put a sticker out. We put direct donate ads up. This was a $3.5 million opportunity over 24 hours time just based off of being able to do rapid response, direct donate ads with an email, with a text message, with Facebook messaging, with Twitter, right? All of these things combined. But being able to put direct donations out. Hey, you saw something that was awesome. We're running late in the campaign. We need your help. Click here and directly donate. The future of this is what we're working on, what my firm is working on, is revolutionizing this advertising technology. So as a company, it used to be hard for lower on the ticket down ballot campaigns, a state legislative campaign, a mayor's race, a U.S. Senate race. So we have democratized the ad technology and basically made it as swipe and go. You can now log in to Revere Exchange and actually upload your ads, do your list matching in real time, and place your ads. So instead of having it have to be a big agency, now when everybody goes, well, that worked for Bernie Sanders, but it won't work for my mayoral race. Well, internet ads are different than TV ads. Internet ads are based on the amount of eyeballs that are actually looking at those internet ads. So scalability is not an issue when you're talking about internet advertising. The different issue for folks in Europe is legal issues about what you can do and what you can't do. Some of the stuff that I'm showing today, you can't do in England. All right, England has very, very specific laws around internet advertising. Germany has different laws, right? In America, I can do an upload and a list match and append very, very quickly and very legally. Digital and very different than mobile technology. Mobile technology is my next point. Everything is mobile. If you go to your website on your mobile phone and it does not work, you are literally telling 40-some%, maybe 50%, maybe 60%, depending on the issue, that you do not care about them. If you think about it, does anybody in here know where this picture's from? Right. So the changing of the guard of the popes, 2013, they had these big, I don't know who's running around with a tablet anymore. We've got bigger phones, so if this picture was taken in 2016, I think you'd see bigger phones and some Samsung Galaxies, and maybe if it was taken in 2017, it would all be Google phones. Hard to say. But the point is, mobile is evolving quickly. If you are taking mobile seriously, or if you are not taking mobile seriously, you should be rethinking your campaign and your organizational structure. I'll give a couple of quick examples. The iPhone did not exist when I was hired by the Barack Obama campaign in 2007. So that campaign gave me the ability to start organizing in apps as the campaign was evolving, right? If you think about it, Bernie Sanders starts at a higher level than where we were on mobile organizing in 2007, 2008. Simple text messaging becomes very, very effective versus late-night email. I'll give the example. There's some reporters here. We tie Iowa. We'll just call it a tie. I'm not bitter about it. Bernie comes in very, very close in Iowa. It's neck and neck. And he flies off to New Hampshire at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. He's going to land in New Hampshire at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. We could send out an email to everybody in New Hampshire saying, hey, Bernie Sanders is going to show up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Show up and join him for a rally. The email would get opened at 11 o'clock the next day, noon the next day, 3 days later, and we've wasted an email opportunity. You get mad that you opened the email late and didn't know about the event. You don't get mad at yourself. You blame the campaign. You don't look at the timestamp, right? So people would just get mad. It would cause friction. Instead, we can send out a text message to very, very active supporters in New Hampshire, geo-targeted, and say, hey, Bernie just won. We need you to show up and do an event and a rally when he gets off an airplane at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's how this works. Rapid response. What do you think we did with our email? Fundraise. Right? We don't need to use the email to get the picture for the earned media for the next day. We need millions of dollars to come into our campaign showing that we have momentum. So freeing up my email to do fundraising and the main driver of narrative and the story while still getting the earned media attention. Every earned media story in the nation is like, oh my God, rabid Bernie supporters are showing up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Right? We didn't need everybody to show up. We needed enough to have a little press gaggle. Right? That's all we need. We wanted to show momentum. We were able to do so in rapid response text messaging. Also, breaking news text alerts only work if they're breaking news text alerts. So, if you Google search Mitt Romney, sorry Mitt Romney consultants in the room, Mitt Romney and 22 approvals for every tweet is a problem. The Washington Post will verify that Mitt Romney literally had to have 22 approvals for every tweet. If we needed 22 approvals for this would never have happened. Bernie would have been on a plane. I couldn't have gotten an approval, right? We literally, from quick organizing to getting the text message out is 15 minutes, right? We came close. He's getting on a plane. We want to do a rally. Get the folks on the ground to figure out how to do a rally, figure out the location, and send out a text or a tweet. 50% of all of our communications came in from a mobile phone. 42% of all of our contributions came from a mobile phone. So that is why I cannot reiterate strong enough using mobile to organize. Every piece of the campaign that we touched had a mobile component to it, whether it was text message to donate, rapid response like I just showed, whether it was buy a store, everything needs to work on a mobile phone. I can't reiterate this enough to older campaign people in the room. You have to have the ability to not only experiment, but to fail. And we can try 100 things out, and not everything is going to work. The 2 or 3 things that we work may actually be, quote-unquote, game changers. Now, anybody that is a practitioner in this knows that game changer gets used often or too often, and that you won't know what the game changer is until after the election is over. Now, if you think about it, Twitter did not exist when I started the Obama campaign. I would not go up to Senator Obama and say, sir, you're going to need to keep this phone with you at all times. There's this thing called a tweet, and we're going to need you to just put your thoughts out there to the world whenever you want. right? That would have been silly in 2007, 2008. We used it in a way to organize when our live streams were happening. Our rabid supporters wanted to watch live streams all the time. TV did not show rallies and the full events all the time. They only saw sound bites. Uh-oh, I've offended one. I'm kidding. So fast forward to today. A modern spin room in a debate is no longer this old-timey concept of consultants after the debate sitting around and pontificating about what just took place in the debate and then being written about by experts. Today we are able to put out a hashtag saying, "Debate with Bernie." During the Republican debates, we actually trolled the Republican debates and got more engagement at a further, deeper rate than the Republicans on the stage and their fans did. In other words, the number one trending hashtag during the Republican debates for 5 debates was "Debate with Bernie." Is it believable? He literally sat on the couch and said things like, "You know what, this debate is old and boring, I'm going to bed." Tweet it, right? No staffer gets to say that. You believe that that is Bernie Sanders being a little bit grumpy and saying, they're not talking about anything. They did not bring up income inequality. I'm going to bed. That happened, right? So, look, not every experiment is going to work. Not every experiment is going to last. I did not want to be known and introduced for today's presentation as Barack Obama's MySpace guy. It's not good for my brand, right? Ultimately, MySpace was a good experiment. It organized net new volunteers. We talked about my organizing background. I care if we're gaining more human beings, if we're getting more volunteers, if we're getting more money, if we are saving the campaign time by using the internet wisely. Now, not every experiment works. MySpace worked for a limited period of time. Today, if you're spending a lot of time organizing in MySpace, you may be wasting valuable staff time. Do you guys remember the Ice Bucket Challenge? Did that make its way around Germany? Everybody dumped some water on their head for a good cause? Great. Well, we tried doing a FeelTheBern challenge. Eat some hot peppers, challenge your friends. A volunteer for the campaign came up with it and challenged me, and I saw it on my Twitter. And I said, all right, I'll take the challenge. Why not? Maybe we can get some people in the office. Apparently, young staffers that work for me don't want to eat hot peppers. So, not every experiment works, right? This is one you can go to YouTube and you'll see a failed experiment. This is an experiment that went overwhelmingly successful. Whoop. What? Oh, now you're going to see my entire desktop. Please stop taking photos. All right. There we go. So, Slack. How many in here, just a quick show of hands, know what Slack is? The rest of you should Google Slack and install it tomorrow. Slack is what made our campaign Rapid Response successful. If you look at Scott Walker's campaign, you will see a failed campaign because it was literally one of these too big to fail scenarios. They had brick and mortar offices everywhere. They had a giant payroll everywhere, right? When the Koch brothers pull out of Scott Walker's campaign, he cannot downsize in any form of scaling. Any of you that work in startup businesses know what it means to have too many fixed costs. We worry about these things all the time. This campaign was supposed to be the campaign that ended all campaigns on the Republican side. Koch brothers pull out, there is no answer. Bernie Sanders uses a tool called Slack. We basically convinced the campaign manager and a couple other people that, hey, all major communications we're going to do in this new technology. It's called Slack. We can actually organize better. We can upload stuff. We can have approval processes. We can move quickly without brick and mortar offices. Now, I wasn't running against Scott Walker, but I was running against Hillary Clinton, who also has a fairly older organizing model. I can actually spin up Slack and a developer channel. If you've got volunteer hours and you're a good developer, we're going to put you in our Slack developer channel. You can just pop in and say, hey, I want to work on some front-end JavaScript. I've got 2 hours to donate. What can I do? Great. Hey, Dave, assign him something quickly. Boom, we're going. Right? That is how you can move in real time. We had a channel for every state that was out there. We had channels for field organizers. We had communications channels. We had rapid response channels. ultimately, if I need 5 people to sign off on something, I'm going to put those 5 people in a conversation. We're not going to do what all of us do in our daily lives of emailing back and forth. Hey, did you see the press release? Oh, wait, that's not the final one. Here, where's the final one? Oh, I didn't sign off. Oh, I didn't see it. It's not in my inbox. I'm not sure where it is. It's in one place. We can organize without the clutter in a very, very quick way, and Slack seemed to do that for us and got rid of the brick and mortar. The final piece that I'd like to sort of end with is sort of the final piece of all campaigns was saying something different, saying something unique. And I'll let Bernie do it here for you.
And now let me tell you something that no other candidate for president will tell you. And that is, no matter who is elected to be president, that person will not be able to address the enormous problems facing the working families of our country.
10 minutes.
They will not be able to succeed because the power of corporate America, the power of Wall Street, the power of campaign donors is so great that no president alone can stand up to them. That is the truth. People may be uncomfortable about hearing it, but that is the reality. And that is why what this campaign is about is saying loudly and clearly, it is not just about electing Bernie Sanders for president. It is about creating a grassroots political movement in this country.
Did he sound believable? Ultimately, he is saying something that no other candidate wanted to say. He knows he's not supposed to say it. That, hey, I'm running for president, but I can't fix everything. That's not a message that you've heard before in U.S. politics. Usually the person is cocky enough to say, if you vote for me, I'm going to fix everything. I'm going to promise you, if you go back to being a kid in elementary school, I'm going to promise you pizza every day for lunch. There'll be candy bar flowing freely, right? Like that's what we've heard in braggadocious U.S. politics. Instead, we're hearing a guy who, whether you like his politics or not, you believe what he is saying he truly engages in. He believes it. And I had a candidate that was saying the exact same thing for 30 years and never changed from the first day to the last day. If you're talking and thinking about engaging with your audience, having a candidate that has an authentic message was a big part of it. The other part of it is showing people that you're listening. Think about it this way. On our first launch of the campaign, we have a great successful launch. The internet doesn't go down. We don't crash things. People come in. They raise $1.5 million. Most of my clients make the mistake of celebrating that and not thinking about and taking a moment and pausing and sharing those results with those valuable donors. We gave our donors the utmost respect by actually saying, you know what, your $25 that you invested in the campaign mattered. You live in the middle of nowhere. U.S. is a big place. You live in the middle of nowhere, U.S. You live as the progressive left outpost in southern Utah, and you gave Bernie Sanders $25. You from southern Utah? Did I offend? No. Oh, okay. Every once in a while you give that line, and somebody from southern Utah. So the biggest problem is, right, did my money matter? By me reaching into my pocket, did it actually do something? And we actually could say yes. We are actually on par with Hillary Clinton's campaign fundraising. The largest brand name in Democratic Party politics, your $25 made an impact, and together we actually raised enough money to actually go to Iowa, to actually go to New Hampshire, to keep going. Our campaign plan was originally for $40 million. We raised over $220 million because we actually trusted our donors to keep giving. Now, our average age of our donor was actually, and I can't make this stuff up, folks, I swear, 27 years old. 27-year-olds are not even supposed to be involved in politics or political discourse. And we got them by selling them T-shirts, by keeping them engaged, by giving them a respectful candidate communication to give over and over and over again because they believed in the campaign and they saw that their impact mattered. So $3.5 million off of a bird landing in 24 hours isn't just something that happens overnight. It happens because you do the same practice over and over again. You tell people what you're doing, you bring them into the campaign, and it matters. I'll show you one other sort of video to show you the authenticity side.
What does it mean to live a moral life?
Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Liberty University is a conservative, leaning right-wing conservative seminary.
We have to understand that there is no justice when so few have so much and so many have so little. There is no justice when the top 1/10 of 1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. Millions of people are working long hours for abysmally low wages, working hard, but unable to bring in enough money to adequately feed their kids. There is no justice when the United States of America has the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth. How can we talk about morality, about justice, when we turn our backs on the children of our country? We have in this country sufficient amounts of money to put more people in jail than any other country on earth. But apparently we do not have enough money to provide jobs and education to our young people. We are the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people as a right. All of God's children, the poor, the wretched, they have a right to go to a doctor when they are sick.
I want you to think of what this great country can be. We can be a nation which joins other nations around the world in guaranteeing health care to all people every right. We can be a nation in which working parents can get quality, affordable child care. We can be a nation in which every American, regardless of his or her income, can get a college education. We can be a nation in which every senior lives out their lives in dignity and security. We can be a nation in where everyone, no matter their race, their religion, their disability, or their sexual orientation, realizes the full promise of equality that is our birthright as Americans. Brothers and sisters, this is the nation we can create when we stand together and not let people divide us.
The history of America and the fight for human dignity is a history of struggle. They struggled because they said, I am a human being. I have rights. You can't do that to me. I need dignity. And unions were formed, and people fought, and people died, and people were beaten, and people went to jail. When millions of people stand up and fight, they win.
So, whether you like the content of that speech or not, you believed what he was saying because he said the same thing over and over and over. And if you didn't understand one of those policies, you could Google it and hear him saying the exact same thing on the floor of the U.S. Senate 20 years ago. You could watch a C-SPAN clip, or you could find a PBS clip, or you could find an NPR clip, or you could find an old article. The internet became our friend in time-stamped authenticity that you did not see Bernie Sanders from anything in that speech to any time that you heard him on the TV, anywhere that he went around the country, around the world, change his policy. By the way, you all just sort of sat and engaged in watching that. I know I forced you to. I apologize. It's what we do. For longer than a 30-second spot. Longer than a 15-second spot. We ran on the internet a web video on income inequality that was over 10 minutes long that got over 8 million views. And everybody says, well, young people, they don't watch all this stuff. You got to make them a 15-second spot because that's all. They're ADD and they got too much attention problems. The same young people are binge watching Netflix shows and entire series, entire web episodes. They can handle watching a 4 and 5 minute video. They can engage. And if we had only made a 30-second spot, we would have left 4.5 minutes of persuasion and deep engagement in understanding why Bernie is involved with younger people on the table for others to either do or just never happen. These are some of the stats that we got from engagement. And then the last piece that I'll end with is so many of you have watched the articles about the race and seen that it was supposed to be the Snapchat election. It was supposed to be the Meerkat election. It was supposed to be the Vine election. Right? And some academic person has called this election something. And let me explain to you how Snapchat is actually used. Snapchat right now has got more video in it than any other platform on social media. Young people are watching video through Snapchat. Now, it's an age issue. If you're not on Snapchat, you're probably, still on Facebook or playing in Instagram, but haven't moved over to Snapchat. It's not for everybody. So we did a different audience in Instagram. We did a different strategy in Facebook, and we did a different strategy in Snapchat. This was a countdown through using filters every day until the Iowa caucus on Snapchat, because we wanted young people to engage in our brand. Imagine if you're a corporate brand, you're Coca-Cola or Starbucks, and you're actually getting young people to take photos in your brand. Now, not all of those photos are going to be something that I'm going to want to share on the screen. There's going to be silly stuff. Donald Trump just did a Snapchat filter that everybody sort of laughed at, and it sort of backfired on him. But for us, we actually had people that were excited to share their image, their face, their hope inside a platform in its own unique way, and then follow it every single day. It was not for everybody, but it made the ability, and it gives me a great case study to bring to you of saying, here is how you can engage in a brand on the internet in a unique way. With that, I know we're limited on time, so I'd rather just sort of open up. No, we're good? 2 minutes? 10 more minutes? All right, I'll go quickly. Everybody in here is probably already familiar with these images. I'm just going to drill down again on engagement. These images, the Obama campaign did not own either of these images. The one image, Hope, was Shepard Fairey did on his own. The other image, Will.i.am. I apologize for our horrible musicians in the U.S. Will.i.am, Black Eyed Peas, I believe. Look, we don't have scorpions, okay? At the end of the day, right, they did. How do you know that it wasn't our campaign quietly going and telling Will.i.am to go record this? It was a losing speech. It was the New Hampshire speech of Barack Obama trying to lift up everybody and say, yes, we can, in a losing speech. No political consultant, no campaign activist is going to go to their boss and say, hey, I got this great idea. Let's take the losing speech, we'll turn it into a great video, and we'll just put it out there for the world. That's not how this happened, right? Will.i.am does it. He listened to the lyrics of the speech and said, I think I can do something interesting with this. Does it, puts it out. He spends probably more money on the production of that than my new media team had for probably 2 months to actually build it. But we put that out there and we actually asked people, well, what can you do for the campaign? How can you get involved in the campaign? And this is what we got back, right? We got the ability to get more back from people. All of these folks could donate plenty of money. They're all successful artists. They could all actually give us $2,000. But what we leave on the table by not getting people to engage in the campaign is millions of dollars. This slide alone was over $2 million that we called Artists for Obama in just thinking about how do we get people to engage with the campaign by asking them. So many campaigns that we work on We don't ask people who are valuable assets to the campaign to take time and do what they do best with their craft. Right? So I don't care if you're a baker, an electrician, an artist, a musician, right? How do I get you to engage in a way that you can? Fast forward to today in the internet and Twitter. Feel the burn was not a phrase that we came up with. Feel the burn was not Bernie Sanders and a bunch of political consultants sitting around the table and saying, hey, I got this idea. We'll start using this hashtag Feel the Burn, right? Ultimately, Twitter can tell you that there was some human being that came up with Feel the Burn. There's 20 human beings that are all taking credit for it. I think it's a silly thing. The reality of it is that it happened. People saw that moment on the internet, and it happened very quickly. And we have two choices when that happens. You can either engage in that, or you can ignore it and put your head in the sand. And we think that that is a silly mistake for any campaign. We engaged in it. Now, we didn't say feel the burn on Bernie's economic policy. We didn't do silly, patronizing things with it. We put it on over a period of time, some stickers. We started adopting it. We started using some hashtags that included it. And ultimately, Bernie goes on late-night television and gives Stephen Colbert Feel the Burn mug, literally showing our audience that not only are we embracing it, we're welcoming it and bringing it into the campaign. If you think about how you can do that for your campaign, that is a winning scenario. Everybody from the campaign, everybody that had been using that hashtag that were fans of Bernie, saw that he was embracing them, he was listening to them. And then ultimately, guess what? They also bought Feel the Burn merchandise from our official campaign store, right? So there was a way to close the loop and actually bring it into the campaign in a fun and unique way. So if you want to think about the statistics, raising over $225 million using the internet, not having an offline fundraising team. Thinking about how do you actually engage at a higher level, how do you experiment with the internet. Not all of this stuff we knew when we were going into the campaign. We knew we had an authentic candidate with an authentic message and a good story to tell, and we thought about how do we put that story out there in a unique way. So with that, I'll conclude and just say, listen, do throw out the old playbook if it's not working. I do not believe in the U.S. ever again there will be an uncontested primary on either the Democratic side or the Republican side. At this point in U.S. history, you can raise enough money with your message to compete in a state like Iowa or a state like New Hampshire. Now, you may or you may not win. You may or may not like the outcome, but there will never be an uncontested primary again in U.S. history. Thank you. Can we continue, please? Yeah.